Hi guys, welcome to the first video on my new channel. My name is Taylor and I run the blog The Lass in Linen, where I usually talk about books, but I also venture into making stuff and just lifestyle stuff. As this is my first video back on YouTube, I thought I'd do a video that I'm a little bit more comfortable doing, and I thought I would show you the books that I have recently hauled. When I say recently hauled, I mean within the last month or so. Obviously right now I'm not doing a ton of book shopping, so I've just gathered up some of the books that I've bought over the last little while and I thought I would share them with you guys. Some of these have definitely made the rounds on BookTube and Bookstagram, so I won't spend too much time on them, but without further ado, let's jump on in. So the first book I wanted to show you guys is The Bass-Rock by Evie Wyld. I love this cover. So The Bass-Rock takes place in Scotland, which is very apt because that's where I live, and crosses 3 time periods focusing on 3 different women. The first woman is in the early 1700s. Her name is Sarah and she is accused of being a witch. The third woman's time period takes place just after the Second World War and covers the aftermath of that and how her choices and her life is affected by the aftermath of the Second World War. And the third woman is a little bit more contemporary. It says 6 decades later, so that would be around the year 2000, and her father has just died. So she's dealing with her father's death. All 3 lives of the women do connect in some way. Obviously I haven't read it yet, so I don't know how, but I have heard a lot of reviews for The Bass-Rock by people I really trust. I'm really looking forward to it because the reviews have been rave and I can't wait. If you've read this one, do let me know down below because I'm eager to jump on this. I think I might read it pretty soon. And then for the next book, I'm not going to bang on too much about this one because you've all heard about it, I'm sure, if you're watching this video, and that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This was passed over as a choice for the Oprah's book club, but that seems to have made it more popular somehow, which is interesting. My Dark Vanessa is about a woman who is looking back on her younger years, I believe when she was in high school. A teacher that taught her in high school is currently going on trial, I believe, or he's at least been accused of sexual abuse by someone that she went to school with. The twist to this, of course, is that Vanessa actually had a relationship with this teacher and until now has never thought of it in a way of being abusive or being taken advantage of. I'm sure from everything you have already heard and from my synopsis right there, you can tell that this book is quite dark. I do want to read this soon, but I also want to be in the right place to read it. So I'm hoping that I can get to it, but not push it. It's really dark, so I don't want to push it, but I am looking forward to it. I've heard good things. Obviously, it's not a book that you necessarily enjoy, but I have heard good things about the writing and that it deals with this very heavy topic in a respectful way. So I am looking forward to it in as much as you can look forward to a book like this. The next book I got is not as new, but I have jumped on the Hilary Mantel train like everybody else. I've got all 3 of the Wolf Hall books waiting for me and I'm curious about her other books that don't seem to get as much attention. So about a month ago, by the time this video goes up, I picked up A Place of Greater Safety by Hilary Mantel. This is a huge book. Like a lot of her books, yeah, this one is just under 900 pages and this is about the French Revolution. I'm really interested in the French Revolution. I don't know why. I've always had an interest in it. I've always had an interest in French aristocracy, specifically Marie Antoinette and her husband Louis XVI. So this is all about that. I don't know how quickly I'm going to be getting to this one. Like I said, it's about 900 pages long. I mean, if there is a time to step into a book this size, it probably is now, but I am trying to work through more of my TBR at the moment, and this is not really something you want to pick up when you're trying to zoom through books. So we'll see. No set plans for this one. My next book is a non-fiction. It's not something I've ever read anything like before, so I am interested in this, and it is Erebus by Michael Palin, The Story of a Ship. Erebus was a ship during the time of Queen Victoria that took on two of the biggest exhibitions thus far in history. The first one was when the ship went further south than any other ship had been up until that time. And then the second one is when the ship disappeared somewhere in the Canadian Arctic. I think this is a really interesting story. I have never heard of any of this before. When I picked it up, I was with my father-in-law and he was telling me about some of the people on the ship, and apparently he does actually talk about some of the characters that were on the ship, or people, characters, personalities. So I am looking forward to this book, but like I said, I don't really know what to expect because it's not like anything I've ever read before. I'm also interested in this because I am born and raised, not living there anymore, but born and raised Canadian, and so it's a part of my Canadian history that I really don't know anything about. The next book I have is some speculative fiction, which I'm just really getting into in the past few months, and that is Yoko Ogawa's The Memory Police. I'm sure you've seen this making its rounds as well. I don't really know how to describe this one. Like I said, it's speculative fiction, so it is our world, but from what I understand, there is something called the Memory Police, and they are taking away people's memories. That's all I really know. There's something about an island and it's losing its history, but to be honest, I'm going into this one pretty blind, and I'm looking forward to doing it that way. Like I said, I'm quite new to speculative fiction. I've never really been into it before, and I didn't really study it at university, so I think this is going to be a good one to get into. It's also not too long, so I think that'll be fun. Oh, and I just noticed it's blurbed by Hilary Mantel. How fitting. Then I also have another non-fiction that you've heard of, I'm sure, and that is The Five by Hallie Rubenhold, The Untold Stories of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper. I am a huge true crime fan, and crime fiction, to be honest. I love crime fiction, I love thrillers, I love mystery books, but I am a huge true crime fan, and I am definitely a big advocate for anything that gives more attention to the victims of true crime. It's really no shock to anybody that we do tend to focus on the crime committer rather than the people the crime was committed to, and I'm excited to read about the victim rather than the criminal for once. This is another one that's just been getting rave reviews. People are loving it. It is stunning. I thought I was gonna get the paperback, but the store I went to actually had it in the hardback, which I'm sure you've seen this, but I still think it's cool. It has the names of the victims on the hardback, which I just think is really nice. So I'm looking forward to this one. Obviously it's going to be a hard thing to read because horrible things were done to these women, and I don't just mean what was done to them by Jack the Ripper. The media and society after these women had passed was cruel to them, and there's a lot of misconceptions about these women. So I'm looking forward to getting to the bottom of things, learning more about them, and appreciating them more as people. The penultimate book that I'm going to show you is a fiction, and it is Isabel Allende's A Long Petal of the Sea. Isabel Allende is known for the book, I think it's called The House of Spirits. I could be wrong. It's something like that, but I'm pretty sure it's The House of Spirits. I've never actually read any of her fiction before, but I love historical fiction, and that's what this is. This is about a doctor caught up in the Spanish Civil War who gets put on a ship going to Chile. The ship is chartered by the poet Pablo Neruda, who you guys may have heard of. I've only read a little bit of his poetry, so I'm not incredibly well versed, but I do know about him. And it is about that. It's about the doctor and I believe his sister-in-law. Yeah, his sister-in-law going into exile and being on this ship with the poet and a full cast of other characters. I believe this is more of like a character-focused novel, which I love, and like I said, it's historical fiction as well, which I love. So I am really hoping to like this one. I've heard kind of mixed things on it, but I am really, really hoping to get into it. And then lastly, the book I'm going to show you is a non-fiction. This is a memoir by Deborah Orr called Motherwell, A Girlhood. For those who don't know, Motherwell is a small city in Scotland. I am very familiar with Motherwell because my husband is a huge football fan of the Motherwell team. How unfortunate that may be for him or for other people, but he's a huge fan. And so I'm aware of the place, but this is about Deborah Orr, who grew up in Motherwell and has a very complicated relationship with her mother. I think this is more about the relationship with the mother than it is about the relationship with location, but because I'm familiar with the location and my husband actually grew up quite close to Motherwell, I am looking forward to reading about what it was like to grow up in that part of Scotland. The kind of North Lanarkshire part of Scotland is very identifiable, and being someone who's kind of come from very outside of that bubble, being from a different country and learning about it from my husband and being around the area myself, I'm looking forward to seeing what Deborah Orr has to say about it and what her impressions of it were. And those are all the books I have to show you. Those are all the ones I've bought recently. I don't think I'm going to be buying books too soon, but no guarantees. I have a weakness. It's pretty clear that I have a weakness. So if I do, I'll definitely be showing you. But that is all for today's video and this first video on my channel. I really hope you guys liked it. All the information about the books or where you can find me or how you can support my channel if you would like to is down in the description box. I will link everything I've mentioned. Other ways you can support my channel is by hitting the like button and subscribing if you would like to. I would really, really appreciate it. I'd love to have some friends to talk to on here. It's been a long time since I've made a video. And you could probably tell, but I'm a little bit nervous. But I hope you guys like this video. I hope I see you in the next one. And until next time, happy reading.